Welcome back, you guys. Tonight we're going to be working on a Glock 19 Gen 4. This is going to end up being a hybrid hive design. So had a local individual here in North Carolina reach out to me, say, hey, want to drive a couple hours, want to bring my stuff to you, want to discuss it, and really get a feel for, is there something that we can do with two of your big hive designs, and can we blend them into one? So let's discuss that. Let's give you a better understanding of exactly what we're trying to achieve. Overall, I think we're going to get a new visual, a new concept on the hive, because some of it's laser, some of it's CNC. I think it's going to be a real nice blended pattern, so let's discuss that. On the slide itself, we're going to do a chamfer all the way around. You've seen that we already started this here a little bit. We got a little bit ahead of the game. Trigicon in the back zone, so we're going to lose that rear dovetail. We're going to cut a new dovetail in front of that Trigicon. Then what we're going to do is we're going to shave these sides down. So you guys see us do a ball nose right out the end. This is all going to go away. What we end up doing is shaving off the sides, get a little bit of weight reduction there. Overall, visually, it's a cleaner look because there's no text that's there. We're going to run our series of hive on the side. So you guys have seen that before. It's kind of like a hive. There's 5 in a row. The difference is on this one is that the first one and the last one are going to remain solid. So we're not going to be able to see through them. You guys have seen that turned out on our 43 because the 43s are a little bit smaller. If you haven't, go back and watch that build video and you'll understand that a little bit better. So the first and last will be solid. The center 3 will be whole. So we are still be able to see some barrel through the center, but not in the front and not in the end. We're also going to do the same thing on this side. So we're going to shave this guy down. We're going to get a little bit of text remove here from the serial number, a little bit of weight reduction. We're also going to be doing the Cobra nose. So we're going to add that Cobra nose to the front zone here. We're going to be able to see the barrel just a little bit greater. Overall, I think it's going to come out looking real nice. That's pretty much the overview of the slide on the Tormach 770. At that point in time, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of cleanup, make sure everything looks correct, and then we're going to get it over to the laser. Now, here's where it kind of makes the change, and here's something that we haven't done before. You guys have seen the rear hive grip, so we're going to do the rear hive grip in the back, which comes standard with our package. But if you go back and you watch some of my older videos, you're going to find that we did a Glock 19X, and it was like a series of 4 top hives that were pretty large with some small hives around it, and then it kind of went over the edges, and on the side it said 19X, and there was some hive over here. We're going to be running that top hive pattern up in the top zone. So no holes. It's going to be 4 big hive with small hives around it. That's going to kind of come all the way over to the edge of the chamfer. So I think overall we're going to see a real big visual change on the top mixed with the side. Everything is still hive. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. Definitely it's something that I haven't done before. So I think that's going to be an interesting view at the end just to kind of see how those two patterns blend. Let's set this down. Let's talk about our frame here. So we also got a little bit ahead of ourselves on the frame. We ended up shaving the sides down. We got this pretty clean here. One of the things that we're going to be doing on the frame is we're going to end up doing the hive pattern on the frame, which you guys have seen done before. This is only offered to local individuals that drop this stuff off to me. So we're going to end up doing the hive on the frame. We're going to end up doing our graphite black on the frame, and then our color for the slide is actually going to end up being our midnight bronze. So we haven't shot that yet. It's here. I actually haven't even opened it. We've got a couple requests here for the midnight bronze, which is your H294. So pretty interesting overall. I think we're going to get to see definitely something color-wise and design-wise that we haven't done before. And overall, I'm looking forward to the project. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start over on the Tormach 770. Let's go ahead and get that work turned out over there. We're going to migrate over to the laser. We'll crank all that laser work out. We'll do a little bit of color, and we'll bring it back, and we'll take a look and see exactly how it came out. guys, let's take a look and see exactly how this came out in the end. We ended up bringing out a couple other weapons to kind of give you a feel for where these patterns came from. This happens to be one of those builds where it was a combination of several different builds combined into one. We're hoping that we can show you the original builds to kind of give you more of a visualization of exactly how it was blended and how it was formed. We do happen to have a lot of build videos on YouTube. I don't believe that you've probably seen all of them, so hopefully this catches you up a little bit more. It also gives you the visualization of what the actual build looks like on another weapon. So let's talk about this first, and then we're going to kind of move to the frame, the barrel, and then we're going to move on to where these patterns actually came from. Trijicon night sights, shaved the sides, went and did our side windows here in the center, left it solid. Obviously that was a change, a special request from the customer. Cobra nose, rear upgraded hive grips over the factory serrations. These are really grippy. So I tell it to a lot of people, if you're looking for something that doesn't stand out really far, but yet gives you something extra, this is kind of where you want to be. I'm sorry, my hands have a little bit of moisture on them, so you're probably going to see a little two-tone-ish here on the slide. But overall, I really like the way that this came out. I think it's a really well put together build. Shaving the sides really gives us that extra contour to the slide, so we get to see a lot more visualization with the shaved sides. It ends up giving just a better visual of like what stands out, working around the ejection port, working in front of the rear serrations. It just really allows us to see more detail on it overall. Let's talk about the top. The top was a really interesting cut. Now, we've done the top before on our 19X as we had displayed earlier in this video. However, one of the things you're going to notice over the last several months, we've been doing a lot more laser work than we've done in the past, and what that means is I've perfected a lot more of my techniques that I just didn't have the experience with before. So what you're going to see is smooth top, textured miniature hive, and then smooth bottom. So we're starting to have the ability to actually texture what we want textured, don't texture what we don't want textured. It's allowing us to take those multi-stepped, two-dimensional based engravings and really make areas of it pop and other areas of it blend well with the rest of it. So it's almost like adding color to a two-dimensional. So it's really cool. Obviously the laser sees black and white. A lot of the other companies out there just run things, but we're really getting into that aspect of where we're actually starting to be able to manipulate the content a little bit better, show it off just a little bit more. Overall, I really like it. Now, sometimes this is hard to achieve. It all depends on what we're putting it on and things like that. But usually if it's a smooth surface, we're able to run that and kind of give us the overall textured or non-textured zone. Very cool there. Let's talk about the frame. Now, the idea behind the frame is that we have to cut off the little nubs that come with these. So obviously on a Gen 3, there's like a big raised portion, and on a Gen 4, there's these little nubs, right? So we cut those off. So our recommendation is to cut them off, smooth the gun, do the work, go back and Cerakote it. Now, we want to go back and Cerakote it for multiple reasons. One, everything seems to be the same color. Now, even if it's just back to black, it seems to be the same color. And two, it also allows us, if we so choose, or if the customer chooses, to do actually what would be a more of a texture-based coating on the outside. So this one has it. It's a little bit more grippy. So what you're going to find is that even in these areas and in these zones, even though we didn't touch these, we do get a little bit more of a grip on there. If you guys have seen that any of the local shows, you've usually picked up one of my guns and you say, what is that? Or how do you do that? We happen to even have other Cerakote companies ask us how we actually offer that as a service and how does it work. So it's a process that we do to the polymer itself, and then of course we'll apply the Cerakote. So even if the Cerakote was to come off, you would still get that texture because it's basically done to the actual polymer. So interesting overall, and we obviously offer that in what would be more of a real aggressive approach or a non-aggressive approach. We're seeing some discoloration here. This is a lot of the moisture that I have in my hands here in the garage. Humidity has been high here lately because we're getting into this rain season. So, but overall, I really like it. It's a real clean look. Now, the barrel, I'm not sure we talked about the barrel at the beginning of the video. We didn't do a lot with this barrel other than the customer supplied a factory Zev barrel, and it was more of like a really glossy black. I did discuss it with the customer, and I said, since everything's going to kind of be non-glossy and it's going to be a little bit more matte, why don't we strip it? Why don't we send it out? Why don't we have it done in matte? So these are little things sometimes that we can add to a project that kind of make everything tie a little bit better in with each other instead of just taking an off-the-shelf barrel. So it ends up being a much cleaner look overall. Really like the visualization. So we sent this off. We had this coated in black. Let's go ahead and build this real quick. I am working behind the camera, so we'll see how nice this goes. So we're going to drop this guy in here. We're going to put this back on here. And let's just see what it looks like. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about where some of these patterns came from and just kind of give us a better understanding of maybe where the customer is coming from on the approach of what they were after. So let's put this here and let's see what it looks like. Overall, really like that. Now, of course, we do have some pictures, but the matte barrel with everything else that's really that darker tone, like the optic, the irons, the actual grip itself, is a really big upgrade or a really good choice, because this would have been really shiny. You guys have probably seen these. If you haven't, Google one of the Zev barrels. They're the dimple barrels. They're like so reflective. Like at night, you could probably see it from, you know, a quarter mile away under a light, because they happen to be one of those deals where that's just the coating that they offer when they sell them. So just keep in mind, we always have the opportunity to adjust things that maybe you already have. So we don't necessarily have to go and buy another barrel. We can do work on factory barrels and things of that nature. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Guys, let's take a couple minutes and look at some of the other builds that kind of influenced this build. All right, guys, so you've probably seen this. If you've been following me over on Instagram, then you probably have seen this or several builds that look very similar to this. So what this happens to be is this is a 19X. This service that you see here with the 5 windows, the shave side, the rear hive, the optic, the dovetail, the cobra nose, these are all things that are offered on the web page. Okay, now obviously, as you guys can tell from a build like this, we do have the ability to adjust things. Not everything has to be what is offered is what you get. A lot of this pattern came from this design. Obviously the sides did, we did make a couple changes over here, but overall, a lot of the side structure and how it was laid out around the outside of the ejection port came from this particular design that was already offered. Now, one of the other things you're going to notice if you happen to follow us over on Instagram is that we do offer the Romeo and the Trijicon cut all in one. So that allows you to install what would be the Trijicon or anything that uses that footprint, and also install the Romeo 1 in the same socket. So it comes out being one of those things that's a little bit of an upgrade. So you're not just paying for what would be the standard cost of an optic cut. There is a little bit of an upcharge. However, it does allow you to switch kind of between several different optics at this point. So if you want to run a Romeo now, later you want to run maybe a Trijicon, maybe it's one of those deals where you don't know if you're going to keep it, you want to sell it. It gives you a lot of opportunity when you're selling the weapon to use this as advantages on your sales. You know, or in order for you to move the gun, because now they don't have to buy a $500 optic or even a hollow sun. So there happen to be a lot of opportunity there. Now this happens to be an aftermarket barrel that we've done. I'll end up, let's slide this to the rear, show this a little bit better. So this is our hive all the way around. This happened to be where the customer actually already had a barrel for this one, so we did recommend going with the black. However, after seeing the black, because I don't send a lot of black barrels out, I do believe that I'll probably end up doing a hive barrel and then do a black barrel, because I really didn't think that we would see that much detail in it, because it's just black. I mean, barrels come black from the factory, you know, out of the box. However, there is a lot of detail in there, and I do believe that I'm kind of missing one of those in my lineup. I happen to have a lot of different barrels, but I don't happen to have one that is, you know, that happens to be black. So overall, I think we're going to probably see one of those come up. Definitely where this is kind of the design of where a lot of that came from. So we're going to lay that down. Now, we don't happen to have I don't happen to have the design for the top of this. This was done on a 19X for a customer. We happen to be doing another big build for them right now, actually, which is going to be turned out pretty soon. So we're going to see another pretty advanced one. So if you happen to have seen the 19X, you liked how the Hive build was done, you're probably going to like their second gun as well. They seem to be one of these customers that's really after some specific stuff. However, I did want to show you one of the other laser builds that we have done with the Hive. So this happens to be one of our premium builds. We usually have these out on the table. One or two of these will be out on the table. This is our black and gold distressed or battle worn with our black, with our gold barrel. So we actually have a gold barrel in here. We could take this out. So on some of our local shows, you do have the ability to actually come by and buy one of these. They are a snap-on fit, so basically you would, put it right on your frame and you're good to go. A lot of the advanced laser work that you see in something like this, has contributed to how we get to things like this. So some of the stuff that we work on is pretty far out there, it's pretty advanced, and overall we have blended and adjusted and tweaked patterns and revised patterns which seamlessly flow extremely well on some of the other builds. So sometimes what you find out is that some of the more advanced, harder builds that are out there kind of are contributing factors to what would be some of the more intricate stuff like this. This is very much more you know, of a detailed based pattern on the front, how we want it, how does it lay, how does it work with the sides. So overall, sometimes doing some of the more challenging stuff can really assist in getting some of the flowing done on some of the other builds. Definitely a cool build overall. Guys, if you have not been following us over on Instagram, do so. A lot of these pictures are going to be posted over there. Instagram ends up getting transposed over to our Facebook. So if you only follow us on Facebook, a lot of you are going to see that same content overall. YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe. There happens to be a lot of new content coming out. We have been changing a lot of directions this year with figuring out what we're going to be doing as far as getting out of the facility that we're in, getting into another facility, figuring out what we're doing as far as employees go, because we are a growing business, and trying to figure out exactly what we're going to be doing with shows and some of the things that we had anticipated doing this year. I think we've really pushed them to next year, and the reason, and we're going to have a talk about that at some point. But the idea behind it is that there's so many things going on, and this is kind of the year of growth for me. So what I don't want to do is become kind of overwhelmed with the year of production or building things. So we're staying consistent. We're still happen to be doing a lot of builds that we haven't done, a lot of new things that we just haven't turned out in the past. However, I do believe that some of the more advanced work that you guys reach out to me to request, I do turn it down lately. It happens to be that I don't have time for it. There's definitely something that has been eating away a lot of my time. You guys are going to get an update on that hopefully later, mid-year to the late part of the year, and you're going to understand why we're doing what we're doing. But we have to keep our eye on the prize. We got to figure out exactly what we're doing and how we're going to get there. And at the end, turning down some of the really more intricate advanced work is something that's going to have to be done until we get in the right place, if that's a hint to you. So anyhow, with all that being said, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to go to the webpage. The webpage does have a contacts tab. You can fill it out. Let me know what's going on. We do have a lot of services that are offered on the webpage. Keep in mind, we also have another tab that's other services, battle-worn stuff, logo stuff. So if you find yourself finding a pattern that fits your particular style slide, but you're looking for something extra, you're looking for some logos, you're looking for some battle worn, you're looking for something different because you're not 100% sold on just the pattern, you know, try to search around there a little bit more. Reach out to us, let us know what's going on. We can always do a separate invoice on individual stuff. If you find out that you're wanting the sides done but you're not wanting the top done, we can adjust invoices and send invoices out directly. So everything that you see on the webpage is offered as a service. And of course, we have the ability to modify that in the event that there's something specific to you. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. And guys, you can catch me on the next one.